Iowa caucus, part 3. All right, so if Iowa basically sets the tone for the primary season, what are we expecting to see at the Iowa caucus? Okay, the GOP will be looking to see if Donald Trump can actually get people out to vote for him. Despite his large lead in the polls, there's a lot of people who think his support is really overstated. Does he have a good ground game? Can he actually get voters out of their houses? Are his voters even registered? Are people, when it comes right down to it, more likely to vote for an establishment candidate they think is more electable in the general election? These are questions that we will wait and see the answer for. If Donald Trump comes in second, it proves he's the real deal and he's not going to be going away anytime soon. If he comes in third or less, he's going to be portrayed like a loser, who basically flamed out and was all bluster, no delivery. If he comes first, however, that momentum is going to carry him higher and faster than anyone, especially probably the GOP itself, ever expected. Ted Cruz is the one the GOP is expecting to win in Iowa. So if he doesn't, it's going to be a major blow to his campaign. Remember, it's about perception. Marco Rubio is currently polling third. So if he comes third, he can just be expected to stay there and kind of coast along into the other caucuses and primaries. But if he comes second or first, there's going to be a huge amount of positive media buzz for him going into New Hampshire and going into the other caucuses. If he falls further behind somehow, comes third, fourth, fifth, especially behind another establishment candidate like Bush or Christie or Kasich, there's going to, all these whispered things you hear about his campaign and if he's competent and if he's realistic will all come to the surface. And all that potential buzz and the elite support will basically go around the other candidate that came in ahead of him. So I guess the only other thing would be if any other candidate, a Fiorina or somebody like that, surged ahead in Iowa and got a high position, then they would be the rising star to watch. On the Democratic side, Bernie Sanders has recently pulled ahead of Hillary Clinton basically in Iowa, where he's been behind her for forever. He's always been ahead in New Hampshire. So he's now in the position to seriously compete in both of those early states. But if Clinton wins them both outright, then his momentum is going to really fizzle. And he'll essentially hand her the nomination. If he wins either state, their battle is going to continue on for some time. Martin O'Malley, sadly, is currently polling at 5% in Iowa, which is 10% below what he even needs to be allowed to compete, or his supporters to vote at all. So I think it would be safe to expect him to drop out of this race pretty soon. There is an increasingly plausible scenario where Sanders wins both Iowa and New Hampshire, and then the political elites and the financial backers and the voters in the other states start to really second guess this inevitability of the Clinton campaign. But what we're supposed to keep in mind is that early states, New Hampshire, Iowa, are heavily white, and they don't represent the more diverse Democratic voter. So the real test for the Democrats is going to be in the third state that caucuses, which is South Carolina, where we're going to see non-white voters who, for the most part, currently seem uninterested in the Sanders campaign, and to see if they can be swayed by the positive media coverage that's going to come out of like a sweeping Sanders win in Iowa and New Hampshire, or if it's just Hillary that's just able to bring their vote. It's actually kind of exciting once you understand it a bit. Just know that if you want your voice to be heard on who the presidential nominee should be, go to vote at your primary or your caucus. I'm going to leave a link below to see when those events will take place in your state, and just be aware that you have to register if you're in what's called a closed district. Iowa caucus, politics girl.